Because, like, if you're saying, like, well, just go draw a sky and, you know, like use a cube map and then, you know, throw that on there, we found that it wasn't high enough resolution because our field of view is so small that a cube map just isn't going to work. We couldn't get a cube map of the appropriate size to get anywhere near the sort of resolution. So we have to use non-cube map texture stuff in order to actually figure out what we're doing. And the rest is just we're making 5 or 6 different effects inside the same material. So if we've got our lights, we're going to need... well, we're going to need at least 2 directional lights. One for the God rays and one for the just regular stuff. Do we want any more than 2 directional lights? I think just 2 directional lights will work fine. So why don't we just go ahead and add those 2 here. So we got our directional light, we'll drag it in over here and add another one in here. So we've got our actual light and we have our God ray light. Child actors. I don't want a child actor, to be honest. I want light components. So this one's going to be our God ray light. Light and God light. So yeah, fun times there. So alright, let's see. I want them to be stationary lights, but they're going to be... I'm trying to think about what the light source stuff is going to do. How can you start with 0 or 1, multiply 2, plus add 1? The material will never really go past 1. Yeah, with emissive layers, though, going past 1 will make it glow, which at least does a bit for us. So, like, you know, we can... yeah, we can mess with the clouds and make them actually glow if we want. But yeah, the color is going to go to a certain value. So I'm thinking about these directional lights, and if they're movable directional lights, if they're static directional lights, then the lighting's going to be baked in. A stationary object can be changed in the game but not moved. Enables caching lighting methods, so cache dynamic shadows. It can be changed but not moved. Totally dynamic, cast a dynamic shadow, slowest rendering. Well, let's try these things as movable lights to start with, and we'll see what we can do. So yeah, this will be movable and movable. In this test skybox, it's going to be a movable object. And let's see, if we build the lighting, we'll take a look at it. Yeah, and if Brendan, if basically what you're saying is having this sort of, all these ads in here are going to supposedly cause issues with different pieces, as in, you know, you're going to get to one and then you're going to add more to it and it's not going to do anything for the color. You're right. But we're going to have some glow, at least, on it. That's about it. Large actor receives a pretty shadow and will cause an extreme performance hit using this to false for test skybox 1-1. Oh, well, the test skybox should not have shadows on it? Let's see, what's this material got for the sky sphere? Like, it should be cast shadow. Let's see. Gotta uncheck all these things. Yeah, this is surface, opaque, unlit. So, I mean, this warning that we have with the map is not correct because it's an unlit object. So why is this stuff all showing up? It's a directional light. Let's see, the light direction is... Yeah, here we go. Why is that update so dang slow? Alright. I need to increase the size of the direction, like decrease size of widget Unreal, because I want this sun to go away. Because I'd like to rotate this thing. And it should have a little vector on it for the light direction, but I'm not seeing it, and I think it's because this light widget thing is in the way. Well, the Skysphere stuff that they have works much better for an open world game. When we have that incredibly small field of view and all that, their skybox stuff kind of breaks down. Let's see, it's viewport options. Let's see. There's advanced settings. Look and feel. Billboard scale. The billboard scale doesn't really appear to do too much. Transform widget size. Alright, well, that didn't really seem to do much. Alright, let's just, what we're going to want to do is we're going to set this light direction to the actual light that we've computed. So we're going to make the God light have an intensity of 0 to start with here. And inside of our event, we're going to make, compute time of day is going to be the function that we go into. Let's see. Yeah, we're setting our celestial vector to our thing. And our celestial vector is that's the direction, that's where in the sky the sun is. So that should also be, the inverse of that should be the light direction. So what we want to do is, after all of this stuff, we want to make another function, which is align light to, we'll just call it align light. So we're going to grab our celestial vector and we're going to multiply by -1. We're going to grab our light here. We want to set direction. Is there an actual set direction on a light? Or do we have to set the rotation? what is actually on the light itself. If it's just a bunch of cast shadows, light, color, temperature, everything. No, we don't really have it. Let me see. What do I have in compute time of day? We're making a rotator based on the pitch and yaw. So I could just save the rotator. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So make a new variable. We'll call it celestial rotator. And we'll make it a rotator. And we'll make sure to actually set that everywhere we do this sort of operation. So let's see, the celestial rotator to start with should just be 0, 0, 0. Or do we want to save the pitch and yaw? I mean, we can get the pitch and yaw out of it, so we don't actually need to do too much. Alright. Alright, so we want to set the relative rotation, and we want to grab the celestial rotator and throw it in there pretty much. So let's see what this does for us once we slot it in there. So basically inside of our thing here, we need to call our function. So align light. And inside of our update, yes, this is inside of our event tick. So that works. And inside of our construction script, we need the same thing. It's interesting that we have this just the light looks just wrong for a lot of this. And I'm wondering why. So we go to the skybox and we go to the godlight. The rotation is at 0, 0, 0. Or the godlight doesn't matter. this light is at 0014.5. Alright, so it is fixing itself. Good. So if we go to our update, our align light, I think we need to make a rotator. Based on this thing. And we need to like I want to get the pitch, yaw, and roll of this thing. Is there like some sort of some other function that we can grab off of this? I mean, there's just get rotate and there's brake rotator. Alright, there it is. Yeah, there we go. So we need definitely to add add a value here. I think it's the pitch. Let's just figure it out real quick. We add 180 to it. Yeah, it looks like that brought it properly around here. So we're lighting the tops of our grass, and we're lighting our character, which is, this is correct. That's what we should be seeing. So let's see. If we go to our light, we change the intensity. And we could change it real high. What is the light source angle? Light source angle in degrees for dynamic shadowing methods. Currently only ray trace field to shadow, therefore make it, yeah, okay, so not much to do. Alright, so we do cast shadows, so shadows, grass shadows are going to be applied. Light shaft occlusion, so we could do light shafts. And we could do we could do actual moon rays coming up over the mountains. And I think that's based on the intensity. That's kind of hilarious that as the intensity goes up, the light shafts have less and less of an effect. Let's see, is this affected by the clouds at all? Or is it only affected by other things? Let's see. If we check out our skybox, we change our cloud brightness to 0. No, it doesn't matter. And these mountains should be casting large shadows on this plane. Are they just not casting shadows? Let's make sure that we have the actual mask lit sprite material. Yeah, let's just make sure all of our mountains are casting shadows. Going to have to think about a few things with this. Alright, well I'm trying to see if there's any cascading shadow map stuff which will allow us to actually have shadows from those mountains onto this terrain. Inset shadows from movable objects, far shadow cascade count. Alright, well let's just have the intensity be super high and let's see if we can so if we have the far cascaded shadow maps, then it looks something like that. But these guys aren't casting shadows, are they? Oh, they are casting shadows. But the shadows just aren't very long. So let's see if we mess around with these shadows real quick. What do we get? And the reason we're not casting shadows is because that direction is... Well, it's interesting. It's like the light is coming from... Let's see. If we're the light, I expect the light to be coming from right here. So is our light source just wrong with that? Let's actually turn on the advanced time of day thing and see how that deals with this. Lighting effects? Yeah, we're working on it. Slowly. Anyway, I'm going to have to be right back. I'm going to go fill up my water bottle. So I will be right back. Yeah, I've got my amazing sea of grass over my... Those shadow maps are looking pretty ugly. Alright, well, let's see. If we throw the skybox... So the time of day is midnight, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's see, if we change the shadow maps, you know, the distance-based shadow maps here. To 4. See, what's the depth of these guys? These guys are back at this very large number. Let's see, that's the number there, and the shadow maps go back to this number. Alright, so the shadow maps are going back to far enough is what it looks like. And there's the shadows for the mountains that I was looking for. Alright, so this has to do very much with the shadow maps. The shadow maps we need a non-standard shadow distance for movable objects. Alright. How about 24? Well, it probably would have been easier for me to program, but right now I just put it to, 0 is midnight and 12 is middle of the day, because I did. But it probably would have been easier to do it otherwise. But whatever. That's just how I did it. So let's see, I need to, in this blueprint, I want to go to the light. to look at something inexpensive so this thing doesn't lag. And we need to set our dynamic shadow map stuff to an extra 0. Let's see. Let's see if we need the far plane shadow maps. If we go to our light, we just change it to nothing if it changes anything for us. No, it looks fine. I do want to pop in a piece of geometry though and make sure that those shadows look proper on the floor for us. So let's just go snag a chunk of floor, and we'll pop that into our area. Let's make sure it's actually got a material on it. Is the gray ball material here lit? Yeah, it's lit. All right, good. It's looking not super the best. Like the shadow looks pretty crap actually. Let's see what we can do about that. If we go to our actor here for this skybox, go to our light. Now it's not really looking any different to have any of those shadow maps at all for it. Like they want to use 20,000 for the farthest for the normal shadow maps. So if we use that, it looks alright. But even then, we're not... Now you need to add unit tests? What do you mean? You don't need to add unit tests. Just ship it. Yeah, so it looks like the difference between 13,000 and 20,000 is a pretty big difference. I actually want to stop that skybox from moving so much. Alright, so this is width. And that's the shadow from the actual mountain in the background, is what it looks like. Yeah. And the shadow settings for this are just 200,000 on there. So if we move this down, alright, so maybe we should have shadow maps start at 13,000 or something. Yeah, it doesn't look like it really does too much. It looks like the lighting is a little squirrely on these surfaces. And it looks like that's probably the correct way to do it. But I am a bit concerned about our shadow map size. Can we get even more? Can we get like ridiculous numbers of shadow maps? Nah, we have a max of like 10. Interesting. Well, I'm just playing around with the stuff to see what we can do with it. and seeing if any of these values make any sort of sense here. Good morning, Karakan. Right now I'm working on the lighting from the moon or the sun and how that affects things and kind of what we can do with shadow maps and everything. And what it affects. Feels like right there, that's the mountain casting a shadow all the way out onto the terrain. And stuff like that. And like the colors are all sorts of stupid and, don't really work. That's beside the point. I'm just looking at the shadows. And that his shadow is not right on his feet kind of sucks. We'll work on it. I don't like neon grass. No, I don't like neon grass. I think it looks dumb. And like we can add light shafts and bloom from them. So we could have, a little bit of bloom coming off of this if we needed it. But yeah. Distance field shadows. No, we don't need that. I'm just reading through everything that's available and everything, just to see if there's anything that Welcome back. We're still just poking around with all this stuff, seeing exactly what we need with all of this. So yeah, our sky needs it's an interesting model that we've got. So it needs to be 200,000. Yeah, those exponents are pretty good. Like just the default ones that we had. And the question is the weird stuff going on with this due to the geometry or the rotation?